Hits for the pound.
Yeah, this is how we do it in the Central Colors, man. We got 40 ounces, Old English, rag tops, 6'4" Impalas, and bikini girls, man. This is how we do it on the West Coast. San Diego, San Francisco, Los Angeles. But don't forget about the Central Cali, man. Please don't forget about the Central Cali. Yeah, get 'em.
It's another sunny day in the state of California. Low rider palm trees and G's that put it on ya. This ain't a negative, we speaking ebonics. Rank talk, candy paint on D's with hydraulics. Baseball hat with the sticker on the brim. Don't let the sun blind your sight, cause things can get grim. But I'm not here to talk about banana clips and guns. We're going back to Cali and we're gonna have some fun. A West Coast domination.
And welcome back to Two-Face Independent Podcast. I am your host, Fred Segura, out here in Monterey County, also known to the world as the Salad Bowl, also known as the Salinas Valley. To the people in LA, we are north. To the people in San Francisco, we are south. Right smack in the middle, best of both worlds. Don't forget about the Central Cali. Anyway, folks, today we're going to talk about bad outcomes, right? So let's just jump right into it, right? My parents were friends with this couple way back in the day, right? And they knew me since I was a little kid. As I got older into my adolescent, teens, and all that good stuff, right? And they were always cool people, always real humble, real relaxing, and so on and so forth, right? Funny, great people, right? I got to know them as I even became into my 20s and so on and so forth, or late teens and stuff like that, right? So anyhow, what happened was the husband in that relationship, as time went on, he got he developed, he got diabetes and he was in poor health and so on and so forth, and it was just an unfortunate turn of events, right? In the midst of all that, his wife later on started, she got a job somewhere else at a different place, and she was working and she was making good money at the time, so on and so forth. And what happened was, she started to cheat on him, and that was unfortunate. We were like, okay, what the heck? Yeah, really? Like, after so long, right? So what happened was, he got really bad. The husband got real bad, and I'll keep their names private due to respect, But she just, she was just, she was just out there doing her thing, but still living at home and stuff. What ended up happening was they purchased a home, right? They had no children, though. That was probably the good thing, right? Let's be honest about it, right? So they ended up purchasing a home. She had some Mexican tiles flown in, or she went and picked them or whatever. Very nice home, very beautiful home, nice tiles, thick ceramic tiles and stuff. And the house was beautiful. It was a beautiful home. It was single story, and it was just, it was just humble but beautiful, And they were there, man. They were cool, I thought, well, maybe that'll, since they're still together, maybe it'll, just solve the relationship. Whichever way. I figured, hey, they saw something in each other, right, to get it going, to decide to purchase a home. So what ended up happening to the husband was he developed an infection on one leg, continuous, just to make a long story short, they ended up amputating one leg, right? So now he was wheelchair bound in a sense. He had a prosthetic and so on and so forth, right? She was still being promiscuous, doing her thing, right? And but she always took him to the hospital. I'll give her that. Now, as time went on, the other leg got infected, you know, and then they amputated that leg. So now he was really wheelchair bound, you know. He got fit into prosthetics, and he had a very hard time. I'm not going to get into the health issues of people like that. If you know, you know. I mean, that, you know, we all know that's not an easy thing. But so she continued to cheat on him. I mean, that's just the bottom line. That was what she was doing. You know, she was cheating on him, and so on and so forth. So one time we had stopped by to visit, and it was a bad time. It was a bad time to visit because I would take my mom over there. She wanted to always, you know, like, hey, let's stop by and see them. You know, I haven't seen them in a long time. My dad had already passed at that time, and my mom, God rest her soul, she would still keep in touch with him. And we went, and he was in the other room, and he was yelling at his wife. Right, the gentleman was yelling at his wife, and he was saying, you know, I'm not gonna sign nothing over to you, nothing, you know. And the wife wanted him to sign paperwork in the event of him passing, right, for the home and everything else. Long story short, with that, she ended up getting a living trust, which she got him to sign. I believe it was in 2000. I believe it was 2000, if I'm not mistaken. We went to go visit him in the hospital. He was in ICU. She was there. They had did surgery on him. He couldn't see. He was rambling on, saying different things. The surgery they did on his stomach, they couldn't close it. So it was just a bad death. He was a heavy smoker. And you know what? One thing this is not an advertisement for you know, to quit smoking and stuff, but he was the kind of guy that would, you know, smoke a lot, you know. And then my dad would tell him, hey man, like, you know, you need to slow down, right? He's like, hey, we're all gonna die of something, right? We're all gonna die of something. We're all gonna die anyways, you know. That was a very, very ugly death. You know, it was, yeah, it was just bad. So he was in the hospital. His wife was there. I wanted to go talk to him. I said, hey, you know, let's just say for the sake of this video, his name was Henry. You know, I said, hey, Henry. And he was like, arr, arr, arr. He was just rambling on. I couldn't understand nobody could understand what he was saying. He couldn't see no more. Like I said, the surgery they did on his stomach, they left it open because, I mean, they couldn't close it for some reason. I forget what it was. And so I was there for a while. My sister and I were actually there. So we take off. And then I think we went somewhere. We went somewhere real quick. Well, I get a page, right? And then we ended up going back, and he had passed. So, I mean, that's the unfortunate part, you know. He had passed. Also, too, let me rewind a little bit. What happened was that they had also not only bought the house, but they had bought a new car, right? And I was like, wow, they had a new house, new car, everything's, you know, working out for them. The lady was a breadwinner, you know, she was making good money. And so he passed, you know. I mean, that was just the bottom line. He passed, you know. So I was like, man, you know, that's messed up, you know. And I never had an opinion about the relationship. I'm not that kind of dude that jumps into somebody else's relationships or try to take sides or whatever. That's their issue, their problem. They got to work it out, you know, whichever way it goes. I don't like jumping in the middle of stuff like that. But anyhow, that's me though. And what happened was, afterwards, the lady, within a few months, she had the man she was cheating with moving into the home. Right? Again, I don't take sides. My mom was the same way. God rest my mom. So she was the same way. So we never judged her on that. We never looked at her any different. You know, my mom probably had an opinion. I mean, I know she did. but she never said anything. She just kind of like, hey, it's none of my business. I mean, but it is what it is. So there it was. She was on with the new gentleman, new car, new house, everything moved over to them. She redid the living trust, added that gentleman to the trust, right? It gets darker. That man was already married, had children and stuff like that. Already had homes and stuff, but he decided to leave his wife and leave her for this lady, right? Which we'll call let's just say Gina, Henry and Gina, right? Henry passed, Gina went on. Okay, so what happened was, afterwards, they just continued to live life. They both worked at the same place. Obviously, that's where they met, and they started their rendezvous and whatnot. So one day I was in their neck of the woods, per se, right, in the city that they live in. We had gone for something. My aunt and I, God rest my aunt's soul, she also has passed since. But anyhow, we were there, and then I run into a mutual friend of ours, right, that from that couple. And she says, hey, it's good to see you, you know, yada, 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 whatever. And I said, hey, what are you guys doing? I said, oh, we came to get something. We're going to go home, you know. And she said, oh, you got to stop by and see Gina. She's at home, you know. I said, well, you know, we'll come back. She goes, no. You got to come by because she's not doing good. You know, she's not doing good. They operated her. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, she had cancer. I'm like, cancer? Yeah, you know, that stop by. So I go, my aunt and I, we go visit them. And she had, you know, one side of his head was bald. They did a question mark surgery, and they took a tumor out of her brain. But it happened to be what is it called, malignant or whatever, that had cancer. And so we go visit her, and she was like, she would talk to you normal, but then it would be kind of like, she'd kind of go off a little bit, you know, and I'd be like, what the heck, like, but it was due to the surgery and stuff like that, right? So, you know, we left, we go back, and this is maybe about 2 years later after the man's passing. No, I want to say, what was it? Maybe 5 years, I think, something like that. I forget, but it was a while. So what happened was, I took my mom. I took my mom over there, and we would go visit them, and she was like, oh, you know, and still kind of like offer rocker a little bit, like, you know, but I mean, with all due respect, it was to the surgery, obviously, you know. So she you know, she would ramble on sometimes, and sometimes it wouldn't make sense. But she said she had to go through chemo and so on and so forth. Fortunately, they did get a lot of it, you know, which was fine. But it just had traveled down to her stomach, I believe, and stuff like that, or to her lungs, something like that, you know. And I put it as to maybe due to the heavy smoking her previous husband or her actual husband had smoked for years. I mean, all due respect, he jumped in the car and it smelled like an ashtray, man. And a heavy smoker. I would say a couple of packs a day for years. And anyhow, and I'm not saying cigarettes, you know, I'm just saying, I mean, two together. I'm not trying to say cigarettes, you know. Never mind. You guys know where I'm going with that. Anyhow, so lo and behold, the lady passes, right? Gina passes, right? So now, the gentleman that she was with now, she was promiscuous with, had a rendezvous, and, you know, he ended up keeping a new car, he ended up keeping a new house. I believe he ended up selling the home after. I believe he went back to his wife, kept the car, and I mean, he made out like a bandit, no pun intended. In the end, I stopped by one day thinking he was still living there. And no, he had sold it. And yeah, I mean, nobody won in the end. I just thought, I mean, really, that's it, guys. I'm sorry. It's probably a dud podcast. I know, I understand. But if you heard it from the beginning, you don't understand what I mean. There's not a good outcome. And I believe that when you do things with bad intent, when you do things that are, yeah, I mean, just out of spite, nobody wins, right? I'm sorry for this to be a kind of lame, kind of dead in the water, kind of, no pun intended, dead in the water podcast, guys. But I thought I'd share that story with you guys. This story actually coincides with another story that I have on here. It coincides with the lady with the white hat with the picture change. If you guys saw that podcast, this is the prequel to that. But anyhow, guys, with that, man, I hope you guys continue to have a good time. Thank you for subscribing still. I keep getting new subscribers. I really appreciate all of you joining us. And we continue to grow, and I continue to bring you content as well as we can. Again, I can't stress enough, there's more things coming to Two-Face Entertainment. And yeah, that's really it, guys. And wish you all the best. We'll see you here next week. And with that, this is Two-Face Entertainment Podcast. I'm your host, Fred Segura, signing out.